Yo, welcome to the video everyone. Today we are talking about how to play Cleric in the solo Goblin caves. We're just going to go ahead and bounce straight into it without wasting any time now. So there is no perfect way of running these classes, any classes, even Cleric, in solo dungeon. There's no such thing as perfect, but what I can talk to you guys about today is the best spells to run, the best perks to run, and the best kits to run. And I'm going to be able to walk you through some of my fights and how I go about those fights as the solo cleric. So let's go ahead and get straight into all that. Alright, starting off with the perks, there are 4 main perks you should be running about every single time. We have Advanced Healer, Blunt Weapon Mastery, Protection from Evil, and Perseverance. These 4 perks you should pretty much be running every single time as a solo cleric. This is just the 4 best perks you can actually run, like without a doubt. If you're running solo, you should be running these 4 perks no matter what. There's only one other perk I would change out for one of these, but we'll get to that in a second. First, we're going to talk about these perks individually. First is Advanced Healer. This is pretty just basic. You get more healing. Why wouldn't you want more healing? It's literally the most basic thing ever. If you're level 1, just put this in and you'll be fine. Now as for the next perk, this is by far the absolute best perk that you can run as a solo cleric in the Goblin dungeons. It's Protection from Evil. The duration of all harmful effects reduced by 50%. This includes the Goblin poison. Whenever they shoot you with an arrow, hit you with a sword, doesn't matter. All their poison gets reduced by 50%. Pretty much makes it not do any damage to you. It also reduces the Goblin Mage spells. It reduces the Death Beetle Slow. The Bat... I think it reduces the Bat Sonic Wave. Not 100% sure if that's actually a debuff. But it also does the new Centipede mini-boss. Barely does any damage to you when it spits on you. Overall, this is just an amazing perk. Can't even forget about the rogues running around in Goblin caves with their poison and their bleed. It also reduces the harmful effects of both of those. So by far, if you're level 1 cleric, run Protection from Evil without a doubt, and then Advanced Healer as your second perk when you get that unlocked. Alright, now moving on to the last 2 perks, Blunt Mastery and Perseverance. I'm going to talk about these 2 together. Blunt Weapon Mastery just increases your physical attack power by 10% when attacking with the blunt weapon, which is basically any cleric weapon, mace, warmaul, quarterstaff, they're all blunt weapons. So basically you just get 10% more attack damage. And then Perseverance is, of course, you take 3 less damage by all incoming damage. So you just take 3 less damage for every hit you take, which is actually pretty good. So I run both of these because they're both great. But the one you can interchange it with is Brewmaster. I've ran Brewmaster myself a few times. It is a good perk. I just don't think it's better than these other 2 because I don't really like dealing with drinking the alcohol or the ale before fights, because you already have so many spells you have to cast and all this other preparation if you want to cast Protection on yourself and then Divine Strike and then drink ale. It just all adds up to be too much for me personally, so I don't usually like to do it. I have done it a few times. It is pretty good. The strength it gives you is very, very good for the cleric, but I personally prefer just running the other perks so you don't have to have so much preparation before a fight. And also buying ale can be, it's 7 gold per ale. You drink 2-3 per game. That adds up, uses some gold. It is fun to use, but I just prefer not using it. You can change this out with Perseverance or Blunt Weapon Mastery. It's up to you, but I prefer just using the other 2 perks over this. But this is the only other perk I would use. I would never use any of the other perks as a solo. The other perks are good for a group, if you're in a group, but we're just talking about solo here. So that's going to be it for the perks. So starting off with the skills, we have 4 skills for the cleric. We have Divine Protection, we have Smite, Judgment, and we have Holy Purification. All 4 of these skills, honestly, are good in their own right. There's nothing wrong with running any of them. They all have their own benefits, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you which ones are honestly better than the others and what situations they can be used for. Holy Purification, it is a good skill, but it's actually not good for the solo dungeon. I would never run this in the solo dungeon. For one, there's no undead really other than like the mummies, so this is pretty useless. It doesn't work against goblins or the centipede or anything that's not undead, and it also isn't any good for PvP. I would never run this in the solo dungeon at all. If you're running with the squad in the 3-man, then you can run this, it's good, but we're not talking about that right now. Next up is Divine Protection. Divine Protection, you receive the Blessing of the Divine, you increase your physical defense by 30% for 4 seconds. 4 seconds isn't long, but if you're in a fight and you just pop it in the middle of a fight, it's pretty good. This is better the more armor you have on because it increases your damage defense by 30%. So the higher your damage defense is, the higher that that more that 30% is going to actually do for your defense. So if you're just a baby cleric and you don't have a lot of armor on, I would never run this. But if you have a high defense rating based on your armor, I would run this if you want to be tanky. Personally, I don't run this very often because there's just a better skill that I'm gonna get into. I'm sure you all know what it is. But yeah, this is just if you want to be more tanky. Never run it if you have low defense on. But if you have high defense, it is good to run if you just want to be more tanky. But keep in mind, it does have one of the longest cooldowns that I've ever seen in this game. So just keep that in mind. It's like a minute and a half cooldown or something stupid like that. All right, now Smite, it deals an additional 10 magic damage to all enemies you hit within 7 seconds. So it just applies 10 magic damage to your weapon for 7 seconds. Basically, all you need to know about this is that if you want to do more damage to like people that have a high physical damage defense, it's really good. Or if someone pops a blue, protection pot, it's going to go straight through the blue protection pot because the protection only protects from physical damage. The blue pots that you drink only protect from physical damage. So it's going to go straight through that, deal 10 damage through that. It's also going to deal 10 damage through physical damage reduction that fighters wear. But this is bad against certain fighters that wear like the dark plate armor that actually builds up magic defense. But against players that don't have any magic defense, this is actually really good to add on to your physical defense that you're already dealing. This is my second favorite skill to run personally as a cleric, but it's just not as good as the one we're about to talk about, which you all know that it's Judgment. Now we all know about Judgment. It's been the best cleric ability for a long time. All clerics know that it's just that strong. Even after the nerf that it received upon early access, it's still the best cleric ability there is. The damage it does is still very good for such a quick cast time. All you have to do is just click the button, keep your crosshair on them for about half a second, and then boom, they take however much damage, And this also starts doing more damage off of your will, how much will you have. It does more damage. But it's honestly just the best ability you can run if you want to kill players, without a doubt. Just because it has that little bit of range. You can hit them with Holy Strike, and then hit them with Judgment, and then switch to your mace, and just they already at half health after casting that spell and Judgment, and then boom, you just finish it off with your mace. It's really that good. But yeah, Judgment is the best ability to be running. The only other one I'd run solo would be Smite, unless you just want to be really tanky, then run Divine Protection. I recommend Judgment all day, or Smite. I'll show you a couple clips of Judgment and Smite, just like the different ways you can play it here in a bit. But now we're going to go ahead and move on to the spells. We're going to quickly go over the spells, then we're going to get into some gameplay of me using these different builds. Now switching over to the spells, since the easiest way just to talk about it is from this page right here, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it from here without any gameplay in the background or whatever. It's just the easiest way to talk about it. Basically with spells, there's a bunch of different ways you can run it. The Lesser Heal, you're always going to run no matter what, and that's the one spell you always have on, period. It's just, that's pretty basic. And then I like to run, what I used to run was Protection, Bless, and Sanctuary when you only have 12. This is pretty good. That way you get both heals plus protection before you run into a fight. But I was running Divine Strike for a while as well with Bless, and then, once you hit that 13 spell capacity mark, you go up to Sanctuary and you run these. This is one of the best ways to run spells if you just want to buff yourself with protection, give yourself Divine Strike, and then go in and fight. And then afterward you have 2 heals to run. More recently though, I have stopped using this, and I've actually went over to Holy Strike, which hits all targets within range, dealing 15 damage and blinds them. This is a nice little range spell. I'll have gameplay of it here in a second, but I've actually switched over to this for a little while. This is very good in itself. Once you hit, and this is, you can literally do this from the base. This is by far the best starting spells you can use as a solo cleric. So when you go in base as a solo cleric, run these 5 right here no matter what. You can use Bless if you want, or you don't have to use it. It's really not that great, but it is, it's better than, running no spell. But here is the best, just base, normal spells you can run as a cleric with the normal 12 spell capacity. But when you go up to having, say, higher spell capacity, so you can get up pretty high in this game, right? I would still like to run these 3 pretty much always, just because they're so good. Actually, Earthquake, I do like to throw in there. It has been pretty nice lately for just PvPing. I'll have some gameplay of this as well. It's good when people don't know how to play against it, because when you're dealing with Earthquake, you have to stand still while casting it, for one. And for two, it only deals damage if people are moving on top of it. So if people know how to fight against it, they're just going to stop and wait for the spell to be finished and not move at all, and then they'll take no damage on it. So once people learn how to go against Earthquake, I don't think it'll be as good, but it is still a good spell to run for, you know, just casting that, doing a little damage off. If they move on it, you do damage, and then you cast Holy Strike, hit them with Judgment, and then finish them off with your mace. This is pretty good for just PvP in general, and then you can of course run this as well if you have enough. Like, this is not... You're rarely ever going to have this kind of build. Like, even this is going to be sometimes hard to get. That's why I said the before is so much better just running this, and this is just by far the best you can always run no matter what. But Earthquake is pretty good. I haven't actually tried Locust Swarm out. I don't really care much for it, so I don't care about that. But actually, this is really good as well. Once you hit 14, I recommend this. It's very good. You have your 2 heals. Sanctuary is just really nice to have for those extra heals. When you have these, you're pretty much always full health, no matter what, when you're fighting, right? Because you have so much heals, especially if you bring like health pots in as well. When you have these, you're always full health in a fight, which is already an advantage because everyone else has a chance to not be when they're running different classes. So this is very, very good to run. If you get 17, you can run this, but you see the trend here. You're basically using the same spells, these 5 plus, you know, Earthquake, because this is useless without a team. This has never been a good spell. I don't see any use for it. Cleanse is only really good for like boss fighting. Bless is kind of a meh skill. In Resurrection, you're not going to be resurrecting yourself. So basically, these 5 spells, just work around them. Always use this. Earthquake, if you want to deal with that when you hit 15 spell capacity. I do like to run this myself. That's pretty much just it for the spells. Now we're actually going to move on to some gameplay using these different builds. Alright, in this clip we have the classic Earthquake Holy Strike. Basically you just cast Earthquake to try to do a little bit of damage on them as they're moving. And then you hit Judgment if they're close enough, and then you just try to finish them off with Holy Strike and or your mace. And this guy was running, so it's a perfect way to use Holy Strike. That's the best gameplay I could show of trying to use the Earthquake Holy Strike combo. You just use Earthquake, do low damage, and then hit them with Holy Strike. Now, so this one is just buff yourself with Divine Strike, Protection, Bless if you want. I don't really go for it because Bless doesn't really change much. And then try to hit him with the Holy Strike. And I'm still getting used to the range here. I've only used it a couple games before this. It's one of the older clips of it I have. But I use it all the time now. It is very good. Hit him with it once. Try to hit him with it again. Right here I mess up and I don't Judgment. I should have definitely Judgmented, and it would have been a much, you know, not as close of a fight. But we still come out on top. Just a good little way of showing. Now in this one, just the same thing as always. Just always buff before a fight if I hear someone. And I just try to get some Holy Strikes in on them. It's a good way of showing that Holy Strike, hit Judgment, pull out your mace and fight. You've already done quite a bit of damage. You're probably gonna win. Here's a little bit of a longer clip. This is just me versus a wizard, and I try to hit him with my range spells, but of course his spells are going to have more range than mine, so this is going to be a little more of a rough fight just to even catch the dude. But I'm going to go ahead and let this one play out for a little bit. See, I'm getting my buffs on, and I'm going to try to go in and try to get him with the Holy Strike. Working around these obstacles to try and block his fireballs, try to bait him out as much as possible, because he's wasting spells. See how I hide behind that, try to stop a fireball. He's wasting spells. I haven't wasted anything yet. Now he's invis, so I'll try to listen for his footsteps. I can hear him coming after me, so I'll run and get ready to fight. He pulls out his homing missiles, which you just wait until it's over. Definitely got to play it a little smart against wizards, for sure. They're very hard to deal with. He's trying to get away. I'm just like, nah, I'm fighting you. Finally hit him with Holy Strike there. He went invisible, and I'm just trying to listen for his footsteps, listen to where he goes. Follow him, block that arrow quick, and just chase him down. Pull out my fist so it doesn't close the door on my face. Got there in time. Hit him with Judgment. Chase him down with my fist because there's no catching him with haste if I have my weapon out. He's trying to go invisible, but hit him one more time and he's out. Wizard definitely could have played it a little better. But it is what it is. This one is just the classic going and or buff yourself and go in and fight. Actually, this is one of the times I was using L and trying it out. The only problem I have with L is that it doesn't last very long, so you have to like get the fight going pretty quickly after you drink it. I also have Smite here, which just adds 10 more damage per hit pretty much, as long as it doesn't have too much magic resist anyway. There's no way I was losing that fight with Divine Strike, Smite, and the L I had drank. That was just, that fight belonged to me pretty much with this build. This build's pretty fun as well. You can run this if you don't want to run Judgment. You don't have to run the L either, like I was saying previously. You could run Perseverance instead, but you can still run Smite. I do run Smite sometimes, even though Judgment's just the best. Sometimes I just like to get away from Judgment. Yeah, loot him up, heal. I see a Barbarian. Same as always. And if you worried about running out of spells, you just rest. Bring a campfire in, rest the campfire, get plenty of spells back. Or you just rest on the ground and slowly get your spells back. Yeah, I'm just chasing this guy down. I'm L'd up. Got Smite. He walked himself into a corner. So you can see the L's already almost over. But I still get 2 hits off on him right before the L goes away. Yeah, that's a good example of the L drinking. Alrighty guys, that is going to be it for this Cleric solo guide video. I think this video has gone on long enough. It's one of my longer videos now. I've explained pretty much all I can at this point. I could definitely go even more, you know, into more fights and scenarios and stuff, but like, y'all get the picture, y'all get the point. I've rambled for long enough now. If you did learn something here, please drop a like, subscribe, it helps out a lot. Comment down in the comments if I missed anything or your thoughts on solo cleric. But anyway, that is gonna be it for me. Hope y'all have a good one. Good luck out there in the dungeon. I'll see y'all later in the next one. Peace out.